I have been playing Sonic.exe this last year ever since 1.1 was fresh. So I've played every single survivor through all their changes and reworks, so I think it's safe to say I'm more than able to give them a rating on a tier list. We'll start off with the first survivors and make our way to the killers. I know the images are scattered about, but it is what it is. To start off, Tails. He's a pretty solid survivor, and before his 0.2 second delay on his shooting, he was definitely safe to say an S tier survivor, if you could hit your shots. Currently, he has a 0.2 second delay on his shoot, but he has a 3 second stun, which definitely makes him a much more solid asset to the surviving team than what he was originally with a 1.5 second stun. So I think I can safely say Tails deserves a comfortable B tier, at the very least. Moving on to Knuckles. He's gotten a buff recently, making his cooldowns on his abilities shorter. Definitely making him much more of a tank and a nuisance to deal with as the killer. His block is obviously as good as it's always been. No real changes there. And same thing with goes for his punch. No changes since it was given to him to begin with. So I think it's safe to say Knuckles is an okay A tier survivor, especially with the recent buff that shortens down his cooldowns. Eggman. To be completely honest, I've very rarely ever played Eggman. He's one of the characters I tend to not play as much because I just don't like his massive hitbox. His turrets feel a little pointless, to be completely honest. His shotgun is definitely good, to say the least, because of the fact that he can slow down the EXE, and then it can be comboed up with another survivor's stun attack. Like Tails can shoot the EXE a lot easier when Eggman has him slowed. But the turrets kind of are what drags him down for me, so I'm going to have to say C tier for Eggman, unfortunately. Time to move on to Amy. Amy is definitely one of the more unique characters in the game. Compared to everyone else, she has 3 stun attacks. Her hammer spin feels kinda pointless at times, but the hammer throw and hammer attack are definitely what carry her and keep her as a strong, stunning character. So I think it's safe to say Amy deserves at least an A tier, due to how versatile she can be used in the hands of a new player and experienced player. You can be quite the nuisance with her, especially when your turn as survivor comes up and you pick Amy and the Colossus is trying to catch you. You can throw your hammer, lose it, and you'll have a roll ability which will make you immortal to any attack, definitely making her a lot more viable in situations than originally. Cream. Cream definitely feels like a major asset to the team at any and all times. But what sets her a little different, in my opinion, is the fact that her overheal ability doesn't actually give you any permanent health. So, to be completely honest, I don't like that much, because I liked being able to get healed mid-match instead of being injured all game long worrying. Overheal is definitely strong, because when you're getting healed mid-chase, it's going to be harder for the killer to kill you when you have bonus HP. I think it's safe to say I'll give Cream A tier. She's not perfect. She could do better. Her speed boost is still the same as it's been for like forever. Sally. Completely honest, Sally was one of the characters I also overlooked until I started playing her in 1.1. Her role felt really nice and everything, but we're not talking about her 1.1 version. We're talking about her current version. And her current version is amazing. 1.3 Sally has her personal shield and shield share, and it'll allow her teammates to absorb a hit. But what makes her even better is the fact that she has shield variants: fire shield, water shield, and her normal shield. Normal shield, once it breaks, will give her or her teammates, whoever had the shield, a speed boost for a short period of time, while also allowing them to take the hit. Fire shield, when you jump in the air, if you press the jump button again, you'll dash forward some ways, kind of like Shadow's early 1.1 dash. And the water shield works like Amy's hammer bounce. Now, she has no more mobility moves anymore, which definitely makes her a lot more open to attacks when she doesn't have her shields, but she can be quite the nuisance to deal with as killer, and she can be a very valuable team asset. So I think it's fair to say that she will be the first S tier of the video. Don't worry, I'm not done. Next up is Shadow. Shadow, to be completely honest, felt a little wonky at first with the recent rework, and his homing attack being actually a homing attack felt completely pointless because of how easily dodgeable it was for the EXE. But due to recent buffs making it so that you don't lock on anymore and you can just go in the straight direction, makes him feel a lot more versatile as a stunner, and you can be a heavily big nuisance as Shadow. Not to mention, his mobility is monstrous. You're able to cross large chunks of map at a time utilizing your boost and your homing attack. So I'm going to safely say Shadow deserves an S tier, not only due to how hard it is to catch him at times, but due to how fast he can move and how easily he can stun and save his team. Rouge. To be completely honest, Rouge, in my opinion, is still fairly bad in this version. Her sensors are okay. I'm glad she has 10 now. But her remote bomb feels a little tricky to land at times because you have to predict where the killer is going to go or bait them to the bomb. But at the same time, that's not really what you're supposed to be doing. You're a stealth character. You're meant to be hidden majority of the match. So, yeah, I'm going to have to give Rouge a C tier. Her slide is okay, and it allows her to avoid getting hit. And her flashbang is also okay, but at the same time, her flashbang, very predictable, and her slide is also very predictable. Her sensors, not as predictable, and same thing goes with her remote trap. But once you see the remote trap, almost 90% of the time, the EXE is going to dodge it. Or the Rouge will detonate it too late. Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic is probably going to be the third S tier of the video due to how strong he is just flat out. A recent buff he's got that no one really seems to realize is that his grapple has actually gotten a slight speed boost recently. And utilizing it, you can actually throw the EXE off cliffs using your grapple. And on top of that, if Colossus blocks grapple and pulls you towards him, you can actually use the momentum to jump right over Colossus at the right moment, completely avoiding getting hit altogether. And then his push ability, if you keep how long it actually lasts, you can throw Colossus off a cliff, or you can just flat out drag him away from your team, making him a very versatile character to go up against. And not to mention, his 150 HP is staggering to go up against. And like, even when you barely touch him, if there's a cream on the team that uses overheal, he can get up to like 250 HP alone, making him a very big problem to go up against as killer, but also making him incredibly valuable and strong and a massive asset to the team. So I'm gonna have to safely say Metal Sonic gets an S tier in this. Silver. Okay. I'm gonna not lie about this. Silver feels wonky to use at times. Silver is a very unique support character. I will admit I have made plenty of suggestions of before Silver's release to have the speed radius thingy but like it wasn't to speed up people around him, it was to speed up a specific survivor. Anyways, his speed radius feels very strong. It's definitely helpful whenever your teammates are in chase, and his barrier can definitely be utilized to block off paths compared to like Rouge's trap, remote trap, like I was talking about. His barrier actually feels like you could actually block the EXE and stop him from stuff. His orb, it's definitely a lot more valuable than most of the time, because you can stop the EXE in his tracks for like a split second to help like your cream get some distance, or to help stall the EXE so your Amy can get over and knock him off a cliff or something. So I think it's safe to say he's a B tier. Blaze. She's honest to God yet another character that feels a little wonky to use. Her early 1.2 version definitely felt a little stronger, but it was basically just a 1.1 shadow copy, so I can understand why they changed her. But honest to God, she's also another very versatile character to use, because with her Fire Tornado, you can stun Sonic with your Fire Tornado 4 times alone. And her Heat Wave change is definitely amazing, but it's also hard to use due to slow wind up and how easily avoidable it is due to how long it takes to cross distances. I'm not saying she's terrible or anything, but I'm not saying she's amazing. There's probably some more work that they could do with this character, so I'm going to, at the very least, give her an A tier. I feel like that's comfortable. Now to move on to the killers. First off, Sonic.exe. It's almost essentially the same 1.1 version, just he has a longer lunge, deals less damage, and has a spin dash and teleportation, and has 1 extra clone. Teleportation, to be completely honest, I forget it even exists half the time whenever I'm playing, until I realize that I have teleportation spots set up. And Spin Dash is definitely viable, because you can literally use it to catch up to Cream if she's using her speed boost. So he's definitely a good character and everything. I rarely use him myself, so there could be something a lot better than what he currently has. Apart from that, he's a pretty solid character in the game currently, so I think it's safe to say he's an A tier, at the least. Colossus. Colossus is one of my main used characters as killer, and he was the main used one before Tailstall came out. Colossus is very strong, able to deal 65 damage per hit. He has a charge that deals 25 damage, but can be blocked or cancelled by any stun character. His charge, I really only ever use it as mobility if I'm chasing someone. It can be used to catch up to Cream also, but I think what sets him so different is the fact that he has a block, which lets him knock away stuns, except for Metal Sonic's push and Blaze's stuns. I think really the only thing that is carrying him up to being an actually good killer is the fact that he's able to be aggressive as well as he can, and his damaging is really it. Catching a survivor all alone and landing a grab on them is definitely a lot better compared to finding a survivor all alone as Pest or as Tailsdoll. Yeah, you're going to get some good damage in, but you're not going to grab them and down them and potentially kill them. So I think Colossus is going to be an S tier. And really, again, the only thing that's carrying him up there is his versatile, aggressive, and high damage output. Tailsdoll. Tailsdoll is the most recent added character and is the 3rd killer in the game. Pray to God we get more. And picking him up at first may feel a little wonky, but God, is he an amazing character. He's very easy to use as a new player. His scratch and basic attack combo deals tons of damage. His traps can be placed while he's stunned to prevent chain stuns. And on top of that, he has an indicator, an ability to fly, which counters Tails entirely. And then he has his goofy laugh, which we don't really care about the laughs. Tails doll, I think it's very safe to say, is an S tier character to begin with, just due to how easy it is to just play him right off the bat. Anyways, this is my tier list, as in my opinions of every single one of the characters. From my understanding is we may get more characters in the future, but this is what I have going on for them currently. You may disagree with this, but this is my opinion of everyone's position in the game. Well, that's all. See you next time.